Before I begin, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge the people of the Bailai, Garang and Garang language region and the traditional owners of the land of the Garang First Nations people on which we meet, and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples here today. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen and esteemed guests of the Queensland Police Service. I'm Tammy Opie. I'm a researcher for the Central Queensland University, and I appreciate the opportunity for me to present this research proposal to you today. It involves research in the implementation of women's police stations or specialised domestic violence units that can effectively reduce recidivism for domestic violence crimes. And this research proposal is for the Queensland Police Service, and it highlights an initiative that the Queensland Police Service currently does not have. As we are all aware that domestic and family violence is both a national and global societal issue, and its many effects upon victims, perpetrators and social systems, and Queensland is currently facing challenges in combating this issue. Domestic and family violence in Australia continues to escalate even with the implementation of specified domestic violence policies, practices and recommendations. However, policing attitudes and the stigma of reporting to local police have become increasingly challenging to produce effective outcomes in reducing recidivism. And as of now, the Queensland Police Service does not have a dedicated specialised unit to combat domestic violence. So this proposal stems from the recognition that these specialised units have proven effective in various jurisdictions globally, and it's prompting us to explore whether a similar initiative could yield positive outcomes in Queensland. So our research question is, do women's police stations and or specialised domestic violence units reduce recidivism for domestic violence crime? Before we attempt to answer this question, it is important to acknowledge the current statistics for domestic and family violence crime and the recidivism rates, which I might have come up with some shocking results for the rate of domestic and family violence crimes in Queensland, and I've reason to further explore my research into specialised units could correct these numbers by reducing recidivism rates. So currently the Australian Bureau of Statistics has reported that more than a third of homicide and related offences were family and domestic violence related in 2023, which reflects 36% of those crimes. However, data could not be retrieved for Queensland or Tasmania, so therefore these statistics are not a true reflection of what the current status is today. However, a search of current data from the Auditor-General of Queensland shows that there's been a near 70% increase of DVO breaches since 2015 until 2022. These statistics are not only shocking, but also reflect how current policies and practices are not effective in reducing domestic violence crime in Queensland. Current records from the Queensland Magistrates Courts indicate that from the period of 2022 to August 2023, there was a phenomenal 39,182 contraventions of DVO charges lodged, which included DVO's police protection notices and release conditions. And since August the 31st, 2023, there has been a phenomenal further 6,448 contravention charges lodged. And of those charges, there was 21,750 convictions in the period of 2022 to 2023. And since August 2023, there's been a further 3,810 convictions. This data expresses the most overwhelming issue Queensland faces regarding recidivism of domestic violence crime in Queensland. In 2021, a research report by the Queensland Treasury reported that domestic violence calls for police was exponential, exhibiting the extent that the Queensland Police Service is now affected by domestic violence call-outs and how specialised training and units could contribute greatly on the impact that domestic violence crimes have on the Queensland Police Service. It is taxing on the resources of police and who require to investigate other serious crimes. Specialised units could combat this growing issue and ease the burden of police officers and a system that are neither trained or equipped to effectively deal with domestic violence crime and all of its many factors that spread wider into the community, past the initial crime itself, by effectively collaborating police services with specialised support that can implement programs, interventions, support services, and connections to legal advisors and health organisations. Current studies on the effectiveness of specialised units globally have proven to have positive results. Studies by Carrington et al. They discussed the establishment of women's police stations that were run by women with experience of DV history and have specialised training in all areas of domestic violence. And they concentrated on working with victims, families and perpetrators to unlearn and neutralise domestic and family violence, and collaborated with communities and governing organisations. Ours follow-up evaluation of an intervention approach in Victoria, Australia named Alexis. It was where staff were specifically trained to deal with all facets of DV-related violence, and it has provided evidence that this program was effective in reducing domestic and family violence recidivism. Hodgkinson and Harris in 2027, they discussed the Special Task Force on Domestic and Family Violence in Queensland. It was established in 2014 and it was there to report the presence of domestic and family violence crime. Recommendations included increasing staff members and DV coordinators and increasing officers' understanding and awareness of domestic violence through training. And even though efforts have improved to combat this, in Queensland, statistics show otherwise. So we propose a mixed methods research approach. It combines quantitative and qualitative research. We would conduct interviews with police officers, victims and offenders, providing deeper insights into the potential impacts of these specialised units. We could conduct focus groups with victims on their experiences with support services and conduct case study research of offenders and their experience, and provide software for record keeping and continued observations of participants over a 3-year period. Quantitative. We'd analyse data from Queensland courts, the Australian Bureau of Statistics and prior research studies into the effectiveness of specialised units in reducing recidivism in areas that currently have those units compared to areas that don't. The aim of the research is to establish the Queensland Police Service would benefit from implementing these specialised units to reduce recidivisms. Surveys could be conducted with police victims and offenders to establish current experiences of those affected by DV. We'd collaborate with Queensland police stations. We'd include individuals with a history of domestic violence offences across all regions of Queensland. It'd be an anonymous process, and all these insights would be critical in understanding the benefits and challenges that will be associated with introducing these specialised units. There would be ethical considerations with informed consent. Participant surveys would be anonymous. Ethical approval would be sought. DV offenders and survivors would be provided comprehensive information about the research purpose, procedures, potential risk, and their right to voluntary participation. Every effort would be made to minimise potential harm to participants. The significance of this research is to understand that the impact of specialised units is critical for implementing successful policies and intervention programs. It's effective and it can inform resource allocation, training programs and community outreach initiatives that contribute to a safer Queensland for all. We aim to contribute valuable insights that can inform evidence-based strategies to combat domestic and family violence crime more effectively in Queensland. And as a passionate survivor and dedicated researcher, this proposal initiates a stand against domestic violence crime. So, I won't hold you up any longer. Thank you once again for listening to my research proposal, and I do hope that you give it a serious consideration for the betterment of all.